I now want to introduce to you Sergeant Major Ray Rivera. Sergeant Major Rivera and the coordinator of this event, Luz Gallegos, were boyhood friends, and they've remained friends throughout their entire lives, even though Sergeant Major Rivera now lives in Phoenix, Arizona. Luz and Ray grew up together, and because of their friendship, and because of Sergeant Major Rivera's outstanding military background, Luz asked him to introduce our speaker and guest of honor. Sergeant Major Rivera attended Breckenridge High School. He enlisted in the Marine Corps at the age of 17 in 1964, shortly before the United States committed combat forces in Vietnam. He trained as a field artilleryman, mastering many types of artillery systems. His first posting after his entry-level training as an artilleryman was to Okinawa. When we committed combat forces to Vietnam in 1965, Sergeant Major Rivera deployed early on. He ended up serving four tours in Vietnam. During his first tour in 1966, after less than 2 years in the Marine Corps, he received a combat promotion to sergeant. He was wounded in action in 1967 during the Battle of Can Tien, which is located very close to the former demilitarized zone. He was evacuated by helicopter to the USS Sanctuary, a hospital ship floating in the South China Sea. After recovering from his wounds, he requested that he go back to Vietnam. Later in his career, he served not only stateside, but also in the Western Pacific, the Middle East, Cuba, the American Embassy in Accra, which is the capital of Ghana, and also he served another combat tour in the Middle East during the Desert Storm. That makes 5 combat tours. He holds 9 personal and 19 service and campaign awards. When he was a newly minted Sergeant Major, he attended the U.S. Army's, I realize he's a Marine, the U.S. Army's Sergeants Majors Academy, and came away as the honor graduate, making the Marine Corps very proud. Semper Fi. I present to you a highly decorated combat veteran, Sergeant Major Ray Rivera, who will introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Chief Frank. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the day that the Lord has made. It is a good day. May God bless you today, tomorrow, and for whatever the future may hold. Again, thanking all the veterans that are here today. As a devil dog and a veteran, I sense in your heart what you feel today. You are with us. We are with you. It is an honor and a privilege to me to introduce our guest of honor and our keynote speaker. When I was asked to be a guest here, I kind of was shanghaied and blindsided. I said, no, you're not only a guest, you're going to have to be moving your lips. I said, what am I going to do? He said, introduce a guest speaker. He goes, who is this guy? And he said, read the book. I read this book 4 times. Trust me, this guy is an individual, general guy. I know him as a guy flying helicopters. I know a little bit about helicopters. But I learned so much about what this gentleman did. So a few words I'm going to say to you. I must share and admit that in my timeline today of me speaking to you, I have a short and cryptic and unusual presentation to you. As I start saying what I'm going to say in about another 3 or 4 minutes, you're going to say, what the heck is this guy talking about? I am going to talk what I read. So if it's cryptic, doesn't make sense, good. That's my whole point. Read the book. What I learned is something about his flying skills. One short one. Raise your hand if you know what a B-1 bomber is. Watch it, look around. We all know what a B-1 bomber is. A B-1 bomber flies by itself, really. I read recently about a 44-hour mission from Whiteman, Missouri to the Middle East and back in 44 hours. 2 crews. They slept twice. Refueled 3 times that way and refueled 3 times back. But they slept twice. This gentleman did not sleep during his chores, let me tell you. Consequently, his summation about flying is like this. Fixed wing. I came from Phoenix. I flew in an airplane. Flew in an airplane. Sat down, had my pack of pretzels and a Coke, and I'm happy. In a helicopter, you literally have to fly that bird. It doesn't fly by itself. You need 1 brain, 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs, and you make it fly. The comparison is, it's a sensual, erotic feeling like a union between a man and a woman. And I said, you gotta be kidding me. Read the book. He explains how it is to fly a bird. Well, this gentleman also praises tremendously the Vietnam veterans. What our country did not do for us. We remember 1965, December 1965 in San Francisco. They said, take off your uniform. And I said, hell I am. So we suffered in San Francisco. However, we came back. Summarizing the phrase, when I get you wounded. One more time. He has lived a life in faith. From as a young to college, more so in Vietnam, his faith in Jesus is on par with Mother Teresa. Trust me, the Pope would say, I anoint you an honorary saint. His career as an army officer started as an ROTC candidate. After college, assigned to as an MSc. I'm going to use nothing but acronyms and phrases. If it doesn't make sense, read the book. As an MSc, he was stationed in Berlin when the wall was going up. He wanted and he wished for something more fulfilling. So the Army and their gracious, we're going to make you an intelligent alumnus. I don't want that. Unceremoniously, he departed intelligence alumnus school. Finally, in the Army, he met his forte. I want to go to aviation element. Army, wait your turn. He waited, finally went to school. There was the growing up of an individual that learned how to fly helicopters. His career was filled with new duty stations assignments. Led by the ASOs, the REMFs, those are not Marine jargon, REMFs, the G2s, the KISS principle, along the way, the Jesus nut. A Jesus nut. He was briefly an NFG, followed by an AC, where he was very much involved in WIAs, KIAs, and EIAs. Okay, we heard what KIA is. What is an EIA? Read the book. He was part of the 57th, 54th Aviation Ambulance. one of the first guys to pick up the phrase, the dust-off fighters, God's angels. I never heard the helicopter. I read the report. Helicopter picked me up and took me out to the sanctuary. I don't know anything about that, but I know he was on the sanctuary. Had a nice meal, but I won't say anything about the nurse. He was on WHAM missions via IFR and VFRs with a WOPAS. What is a WOPAS? He met a lot of WOPAS that became his blood brothers. These WOPAS were infamous. The Worm, the Atheist, they all learned from Major Kelly. His mentor was Major Kelly. May God bless his soul. Took a bullet to the heart. Major Kelly. He was the icon of the dust-offs. In 1968, he accomplished the unsurmountable mission, culminated by 2,500 combat missions. Shot down numerous times, but he picked up a number of wounded, killed off the battlefield. So one day he stood in front of the Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States, and he was presented the Congressional Medal of Honor for service. Not only that, he also received the Distinguished Service Cross, the Purple Heart, and many other awards for service. Therefore, it is my honor, sir, my privilege, and my respect. Major General Patrick Brady.
I need this guy selling my books. By the way, everything from the book goes to veterans, to members of my unit, and their funerals and all that. I love to hear what a fine fellow I am. I wish my wife could be here to hear what a fine fellow I am. More than that, I wish my wife's mother could be here. This business of being a veteran, not all it's cracked up to be. Things don't work like they used to. All you old veterans out there, you old timers, remember that stuff they put in our food when we were young? To keep us from chasing the girls? It's starting to work. We were gone so much. My wife used to get upset with me. I'd be gone, come back, gone, can't help it, dear. Complain, come back. And I said, for God's sakes, get off my back, get a hobby. So I came back. Did you get a hobby, dear? Yes, I got a hobby. What are you doing? I'm raising chickens. And I said, you're raising chickens? Well, I'm a country boy. She's a city girl. Show me how you're raising chickens. So she takes me out there and she says, there they are. Well, there's 2 roosters and 1 hen. And I said, dear, I think you missed the point. She says, no, you missed the point. One of those roosters travels a lot. Now you get a general here. You know, there's 3 kinds of generals. Those that can count and those that can't. But it's like Henry VIII said to his 4th wife, I won't keep you long. Today we remember in a special way some very, very special Americans. These are Americans who believe that life has no meaning unless it's lived for the benefit of future generations. These kinds of remembrances are wonderful traditions in our country. The fact that we do remember, that we are grateful, I think truly reflects our greatness as a nation.
Someone wrote about the importance of tradition in a democracy, and I think this was a Catholic writer. He said, a democratic people profess to object to a man's being disqualified from anything by accident of birth. Tradition objects to a man being disqualified from anything by the accident of death. Tradition refuses to submit to the small and arrogant oligarchy of those who merely happen to be walking around. Tradition is the democracy of the dead, and it keeps their timeless wisdom in our councils. Today, our honored dead, our POWs, our MIAs, our KIAs, visit our councils, and we are again inspired and strengthened by the memories of these men and women and the great beauty of their sacrifice. They have been the vault for the values of this nation, and that is what is important to the veterans I have known. They did not take an oath to defend a person, a party, a king, or a dictator. They took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States, a set of values. And that's what veterans would like for us to honor. Not just them, but the values for which they gave so much of body and soul. Values such as courage, a willingness to sacrifice, service to others, and to our country. Alexander Solzhenitsyn warned about the danger of a nation amputating its memory, of silent generations growing old and dying without ever talking about themselves either to each other or to their descendants. And that is why what is most important, indeed vital, is that the youth of today see that we remember, that we are grateful, that service and sacrifice and courage are noble things, and an America which has no kings or queens still has a nobility. America's nobility is called veterans. Their titles range from private to sergeant to general, or simply GI. Our premier titles, however, are KIA, WIA, POW. Unlike other nobilities, these titles were not inherited. They were earned through their blood, sweat, and tears, and that is the Holy Trinity that secures our freedom. So what we really honor today are two fundamental values of our greatness and two characteristics of veterans, courage and sacrifice. They are the soul of freedom, the guardians of our democracy. William James wrote, "Evident though the shortcomings of a man may be, if he is ready to give up his life for a cause, we forgive him everything. However inferior he may be to ourselves in other respects, if we cling to life while he throws it away like a flower, we bow to his superiority." Now, I remember the veterans, my father who was with Darby's Rangers in World War II, coming home from World War II, and how much we admire their courage. And about this time it dawned on me that despite all the talk of equality, we are not all born equal. Certainly not in terms of ability, certainly not in terms of opportunity. In fact, there is only one way in which we are all born equal, and that was the thing we admired so much in our veterans. Only in matters of courage are we all born equal. Each of us can have all the courage we want. You can't use it up. God has made this marvelous gift infinitely available to all of us. In fact, it's the only thing we can have all we want of. I'm never going to get all the chocolate pie I want. You can't have all the brains you want, material things or opportunity. Only courage is infinitely available to all of us, and it is the key to success in our life. Our veterans teach us that courage is the first virtue, the king of all the rest, or it is courage that secures all the rest. No other virtue, not freedom, not justice, not anything, not anyone, is safe, is secure without this thing we call courage. Courage is the great legacy of our veterans, and their courage is the cause of most of the freedoms in our world. It's the great equalizer in life. It produces great people from those people who were not given great ability or great opportunity. Our veterans were not blessed with great ability or opportunity in many cases, not wealthy, but they were great people because of their courage. Once our children learn this, that they can have all the courage they want, and that success is based in courage, mediocrity and failure become choices that have nothing to do with chance or ability or opportunity. Now, where does it come from? I believe that the key to courage represents another characteristic of our veteran. It is faith. Would anyone willingly give up their life if that life was all there was? In combat, I coped with fear through my faith. My faith was for me a substitute for fear. It was a source of calm, of comfort, and it gave me confidence to do things that to me would have otherwise been impossible. Fear is nothing more than our faith on trial, and I always tell the story of a football player. I can define my faith. I wouldn't try to do it for others, but it's a common bond among veterans and one of our values. This player was going to a ball game many years ago. In those times they traveled by train. About halfway there, he got word that his father was ill. He stopped, turned around, and went back. After the funeral, he joined the team. He was not a very good player, but the coaches, because of his father died, they decided that they would let him play. He begged them to let him play in that most important game. So they put him in, and they were going to take him out before he did any damage. Well, he played sensationally. It was all over the place. In those days, it went both ways. He stayed in the game. In fact, he scored the winning touchdown. They asked him, how did you do it? How could you do it? And he says, my father was blind all my life. And this was the first time he could see me play. That football player had faith that his blind father was there and could see him play for the first time, and he didn't want to let him down. It was his faith that gave him the courage to do that. Veterans do believe. They believe there is something beyond the moment, something worth dying for. Someone above and beyond the self who is the source of peace, and peace is the ultimate victory of every warrior. And the faith of our veterans is the source of the courage that gave us the bounty that is America. This day is also about their sacrifices. In my faith, probably in most of your faith, there's a doctrine on grace. And it teaches there's a treasure chest full of grace, and it was filled by the sacrifice of Jesus and the saints. And it's available to all of us to help as we struggle to do what's right in this life. We can all draw from that chest of grace through no particular merits of our own, but simply because of God's love for us. Our freedom is like grace, a treasure chest. It was filled by the sacrifices of our great heroes and patriots, by our veterans, our POWs, our MIAs, our KIAs, and we all draw from that chest of freedom, often through no particular merits of our own, but simply because of their love for us. The chest of grace is inexhaustible because it comes from God, not so the chest of freedom. It must continuously be replenished by our sacrifices. And that is why it is vital that we remember the sacrifices of our veterans. And the sacrifice of those we remember today teaches us about a very special kind of sacrifice. It's not the what's in it for me kind of sacrifice. It's a pure sacrifice, the kind of sacrifice which will do nothing for us in a material sense. What it really does is increase our capacity for more sacrifice. And we believe it will also increase our capacity for fulfillment, for responsibility, for leadership, indeed for happiness itself. True happiness is based in sacrifice, which I would define as love in action. There is no future, no happiness of nations or persons without sacrifice. It's through sacrifice that these men and women have shown their love for this country. And if you agree with my definition that sacrifice is love in action, then it's easy to see that our veterans' love is truly the foundation for the security of this nation. No, I'm going to digress a little bit. We saw the Vietnam thing there, but no veteran sacrificed more than the Vietnam veteran. Vietnam may be the only war we ever fought, or perhaps was ever fought, in which the American soldier added to their heroism a humanitarianism unmatched in the annals of warfare. And he did it during the heat of the battle. Humanitarianism was our great victory in Vietnam. And I think it's still there in the hearts of the people, many people all over the world who have been touched by the American GI, and will certainly have a positive influence in the future. I've been back 3 times, amazed at how they treated me. And you get with the urchins on the street and you ask the little guys, where would you like to go in the world? America. After we were there all those years in that war. And by the way, what city would you like to go on in America? Las Vegas. That's what they told me. There's one little urchin talking, who's your favorite president? I asked the guy. Benjamin Franklin. No, young man, Benjamin Franklin was not our president. The little guy pulls a $100 bill out of his pocket. Yeah? If we look at the media narrative, we see the quality of the Vietnam veteran, the intensity of the fight, and the suffering of that soldier. Look at the facts. Undefeated in combat. The average infantryman in the Pacific in World War II saw 40 days of combat in 4 years. His counterpart in Vietnam, many out here, saw 240 days of combat in 1 year. We see horrifying suicide rates among today's warriors, yet the Vietnam veteran who saw as much or more combat than any warrior ever, after living through the media calumny of his service and sacrifice, had a lower suicide rate than his civilian counterpart. The Vietnam veteran not only distinguished themselves in combat, they came home and became model citizens. They were the best educated force we ever had. 79% of them had a high school education or better. His unemployment rate, personnel income, drug use, incarceration rate, far above his contemporaries in society. And as a tribute to their patriotism, despite their shoddy treatment, 90% are glad they served. And it was the outstanding veterans of Vietnam that were responsible for the unprecedented victory in Desert Storm. They would not lose. It was our Vietnam veterans who slowed the onslaught of communism to this day, and in Vietnam, my impression was that communism was dead. They just didn't know what to do with the corpse. People were running around, incredibly healthy, happy people, very enterprising, and doing very, very well. There's an inscription on the wall of a cemetery that says, they sacrificed their youth that liberty might grow old. There's no one anywhere who that better applies to than the veterans from Vietnam. Humanitarianism and the roadblock of communism were the great victories in Vietnam. Now, as an aside, I recall a golf outing. Mike Novosel, a fellow desktop pilot, Medal of Honor recipient, and I were playing golf with a very famous Air Force ace fighter pilot. We got any Air Force weenies out here? You're not going to like this. This guy was very highly decorated, celebrated for having flown 100 combat missions. Think of it. Mike and I, between us, had over 5,000 combat missions. Not unusual for a couple of dust-off pilots. In fact, any pilot in Vietnam. And when that ace fighter pilot was betting over a putt, we let him know about that. C.S. Lewis, in his condemnation of moral relativism and a valueless society, wrote about men without chest, the heart. He used the chest to symbolize the spiritual element, the value center, the heart of a person. It was the indispensable connection between the head, the intellectual, the mental element, and the belly, the visceral, emotional, passionate part of our nature. Balance comes when the head rules the belly through the chest. Danger comes from people without a chest. From intellectually light elites without values, human animals governed by passion and instinct alone. Many believe that America is in danger of becoming a nation without a chest. The question is, what should we do? The answer is simple. A priest told me once that if love is to survive, it must be expressed. Those words are so profound. We know that the more we express love in our families and work, the better everything becomes. The same is true of patriotism. It needs to be expressed. And we do this by doing patriotic things, honoring patriots as you do here today. Not just our veterans, but all great patriots, teachers, the police, hardworking Americans, most of all our parents. All those who work hard on the first duty of all American citizens, and that's to make patriots of our children. And when we go around talking to young people in the schools, the first thing we focus on is patriotism. And I tell them the story of Webster Anderson, big, powerful, black soldier. He was on a hilltop in Vietnam during a tropical storm. In the initial attack, the communists pretty much took off both his legs. Still, Webster kept fighting. The next attack, they threw a hand grenade into his position. Webster caught the hand grenade, and when he was throwing it clear of his men, it pretty much took off his arm. I flew in that night and picked up what was left of Webster and all his wounded men. I took them to the hospital. Amazingly, they were able to save Webster's life, but he lost 2 legs and 1 arm. We became very close. He thought I saved his life. That was one of 2 instances, I think, where one Medal of Honor recipient was involved with another in our history. But anyhow, it was a doctor who saved his life. But he got the Medal of Honor, and he and I would travel and talk to young people. And we're in a classroom in Oklahoma one time, the center of the artillery school. And we prop him up. He was more plastic than he was flesh, and he insisted on standing and talking to the kids. And one young man raised his hand and he said, "Mr. Anderson, knowing what you know now, that it would cost you 2 legs and 1 arm, would you do it again?" Webster raised his good arm and he says, "Kid, I've only got 1 arm left. My country can have it any time they want." Now you can imagine the impression that that great soldier had on those young people and the lesson that he taught them about patriotism. And so the veterans' message today is to our youth, from those who sacrificed their youth that liberty might grow old. Over many years, countless battlefields, bodies of millions of dead. It's a message that the values of courage, founded in faith, sacrifice based in love, will lead to an incredible capacity for service to others and eventually to the security of America. Peace, as I said, is the ultimate victory of all warriors. When we remember the values of our veterans, we help fill the chests of freedom, and in doing so, we grow children with chests. The great thing about our veterans, our POWs, our MIAs, that they may be separated from us, but they never really leave us. The noblest part of their being remains with us, is a part of our being as a people, everywhere in this great land. A part of the common ideals and feelings for each other, of all those things that make us a united country, a singular people, a people who enjoy each other's company and wish each other's well. Our veterans are peoples with chests, and on Veterans Day they should be puffed out a bit as we remember and are grateful. We did not do our country any favors by our service and sacrifice. God did us a favor by allowing us to be born in this greatest of all nations. God bless you. Thanks for having us.